Hello guys, it is Lauren and welcome back to my channel. I'm super duper excited to be filming a video for you guys today because as you all know, I'm in college now and it has kind of been a stressful and hectic time, so I haven't had a lot of time to put into YouTube. But today I thought that I would sit down and film a video for you guys. Please kind of ignore just this weird background. I need to find like a good filming setup and situation, but this is just where my window is and where the lighting is best, so we're just gonna have to work with this for today. So in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about tips I have for applying to college. I thought it was very fitting now that I'm in college and I've kind of gone through the whole application process and whatnot. I had like kind of a college coach that helped me kind of navigate this process, but the tips that I'm going to share with you guys, you would seriously like pay someone just to tell you these things. College coaches are super duper helpful. I really recommend getting them. But since maybe some of you don't have access to that, or maybe they're just too expensive, I figured I would just share some of the tips I learned from them with you guys. And thank you guys so much for a lot of love on my high school advice video. So that kind of inspired me to do more kind of advice videos on college. So yeah, let's just get started. So I am going to walk you guys kind of the order in which I did things and which worked pretty well for me. So I started my kind of process in August, and I know that it is now September, but like don't worry, you know, you're not behind yet. You just want to make sure that you don't procrastinate, so you like go right up until the deadline, because I didn't do that and it was really nice having it done with before the holidays and all that stuff. First thing that I did, and what I think you guys should do, is make a list of all the schools you want to apply to, and I would separate it into 3 different categories. The first category would be your reach schools. These are the schools that you would love to go to, but maybe you don't think you have a high enough GPA. It's just kind of like you're just shooting your shot. Like you're not really sure it's gonna work out, but you just, you know, you gotta try. Then kind of just like, I don't really know what to call like the middle category, but maybe just like your standard schools, like schools that you kind of fit the margins for, that like are pretty, like you think you have pretty good odds of getting into, you know, pretty good odds of you going there. And then also a category of your safety schools. So these are schools that you definitely, you know, fit the bill. If all else fails, these schools like you'll definitely get into. Have some schools that like maybe aren't on your first choice, but leave them as options because you never know what's gonna happen. So personally, I applied to 13 schools. That is a lot. I did private schools, I did state schools, I did UCs, I did all of that. So I'm from California, and you guys probably all knew that, but I'm from California, and so UCs for me were like very standard because a lot of kids from my school went to UCs and whatnot, because that's where we're from. Anyways, who cares? Once you have made a list of schools that you want to apply to, you know kind of what accounts you need, because so for me, I had California state schools, I had UC schools, University of California schools, I had private schools, and then I had just a few out of states. So I made accounts. I made a UC account, I made a CSU account, like a state school account, and then I made a Common App account, and that was for a lot of private schools and some out of states. But some out of state schools, you have to apply like specifically through their website, but it's normally super easy. So Common App is what I used for private schools, what I used for like Oregon, and then I ended up applying to Arizona later in the year, so I applied actually through their website, but I think Arizona might be on the Common App, but I'm not 100% sure. University of Arizona, that is. Also, there's like a bajillion noises going on in the background. I apologize for that. Really? Like now? So, once you've picked your schools, then you know, and if you're like, hey, UCs just aren't really for me, then don't worry about making a UC account. Or if you're not going to apply to any state schools, then just don't make a state school account. Next step that I did, a list of activities of all the things I did from freshman year to senior year. So what I did is I separated it by year, and I started with freshman year. And under freshman year, I'm looking at my laptop right now, in case you guys are wondering, I have volunteer work, like paid stuff I'm being paid to do. clubs that I was in, awards, and then sports. So like if you're not in sports or you're in something that I didn't list here, that's totally fine. Just add that category, or maybe it can fit under a category that I already have here. So basically I list something that I did, and then I listed the amount of weeks out of a year I did it, and then the amount of hours per week. So for example, under clubs, I have Girl Scouts, 4 hours a month times 10 months. So like we met twice a month for 2 hours for 10 months out of the year, if that makes sense. Because for UC applications, they will ask you how often you did it, like in that context, like how many hours for how many weeks did you do this out of the entire year. So if it's something like student government that you did through school, you'd say like, is there like 36 weeks in a school year? Like 36 weeks, but then don't count like class time, count like time I spent maybe setting up for dances like on Saturdays outside of school. So maybe it's like only like 4 hours a week. Don't, like, class time doesn't really count because that just doesn't really work. It's stuff that you did like in your free time, like when you're outside of school. So this list can be just really important and serve as a good reminder, and it can even kind of spark ideas for essay topics, because you will need an essay for Common App and for UCs. State schools really only require your numbers, so your GPA and your like SAT, ACT scores, which, you know, kind of sucks because then they don't really know who you are as a person, but it makes it pretty easy to fill those out. So my biggest advice to you guys, if you're doing UC and Common App, is to start with your UC essays first. So UC essays, I believe there are 4, and I want to say they're around 300 words, 300 to 400 words. Don't quote me on that. It's been a minute since I've done this. But you choose, I think, 4 out of 8 prompts, and you write 4 different essays. So I wrote my 4 UC essays, and I picked 2 prompts that kind of had like this similar, were just a little bit similar in a sense. And then what I did is for my Common App is I actually combined the 2 essays together. Because your Common App essay is just 1, but it's 600 words. However, be careful with the Common App though, because everyone makes it sound super easy, like, oh, there's just 1 essay and it's like the one long 600 word one. But some schools will have like mini questions that they kind of sneak in there as like 200 word essays. So make sure you just allot yourself enough time to have your big essay, but then also in case schools ask like specific school related questions, like say you're going to a school that is religious, they will probably ask you some questions about that. And that's just like a random example, but a lot of private schools asked me, I think University of Oregon asked me some like Oregon specific questions through the Common App. Sorry if this is kind of confusing. I know it's a lot of information, but I'm just trying to help you guys out here. If you've done all this, kind of like your list, your making accounts, and your list of schools, like you're in really good shape. It's only September, and I feel like you're at like a really good place if you've done that. And maybe start thinking about essays you want to write, and I think that making a list of things you have done might help you do that, because a lot of times you write about kind of something you did or something that kind of like changed your perspective, and a lot of those things are gonna probably happen in high school. So I really recommend making the list, and then maybe some essay ideas will come from that. And a little tip for writing your essays is just to be as unique as possible, because there's so many people that, you know, are passionate about art, are passionate about a sport. You can be passionate about those things. Like, I'm not saying that's bad at all, but try and twist it into a way where it's like super unique to just you, or pick a quality about yourself that like is kind of just different, that maybe like a lot of other people won't talk about. For example, for one of my essays, let me see if I can pull up the prompt right now. Okay, one of the UC essay prompts of last year was, what would you say is your greatest talent or skill, and how have you developed this talent or skill over time? And I said my greatest talent or skill is being memorable, in the sense that I'm kind of a team builder and a community builder, and people aren't going to remember me for like how smart I was or how good at school I was, but they are going to remember like how I made them feel, and this is like going off into a total tangent, but it was something very different. And I really do think that a lot of schools that I got into early really did read my essays and saw that they're like, oh wow, you know, that's unique. Something else was like, there's a question about leadership experience. I easily could have written about student government because I did it for like 8 years. Instead, I talked about how I sang the national anthem at like this huge basketball game we have at our school, which is also kind of different. Like, you know, think about how many people are in student government versus how many people are like singing the national anthem, if you know what I mean. It's just things like that that are kind of just going to set you apart, because, you know, these schools are reading thousands upon thousands of essays, and a lot of people are going to be into sports, a lot of people are going to be into clubs, and then they're going to get to this one person and be like, whoa, they like did this, like that's crazy, and it'll just kind of like set you apart from other candidates. Also, pro tip is, if you use like Google Docs or something, or make a folder of just all your essays that you write, your extracurricular list and all that stuff. I had one folder on my Google Doc that was just like college applications, and I just put everything in there so you don't lose track of it all and whatnot. Okay, so that was kind of a long tangent, but my next tip for you guys is to apply early. So a lot of private schools and schools on the Common App have early action and early decision. Early action is where you can apply early and know if you got in early, but early decision is like if you get in, if you apply early and you get in, you like are 100% committed to go there, like that's that. So if you know you want to go to one school and like that's it, then like apply early decision, because I think schools really take that into account, because they're like, oh wow, they're super committed to this school, like they don't want any other school, like this is it for them. But you know, if you're still unsure, you just kind of want to weigh all your options later in the year, totally do that too. Like, do not wait till the last week or the last night to do it, because a lot of times, like I, for example, tried to access, I think it was the state school portal on like the last day it was open or something, and it just kept crashing because many people were on there. So do it before there's like a mad rush and like the website is like malfunctioning, because everyone wants to be on there like the day it's closing. I think my last piece of advice for you guys is to actually contact the school. So if there's a specific school that you really want to go to, there was like an issue with your application, or even if you just applied, email them. Be like, hi, you know, my name is Lauren Giovanetti. I just applied to your school. I can't wait to hear back from you guys. It like really just anything to show that like a lot of initiative, that you really want to go there. They're gonna see that, and then they're gonna see your application and be like, this girl like contacted us. Like I did that for the school I'm going to now. There was like an issue with my application. One of my essays didn't go through. It was kind of a disaster. So I emailed them like, I think like 4 times, being like, I'm so incredibly sorry, it was a massive mistake. This is my #1 school. I've applied to 13 schools and this is like the only one I really want to go to. Like all that, just making it very clear that you want to go there and that you have initiative. You know, if they're debating between you and one other person and they're like, well, they emailed us and like told us how much they wanted to get, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a college acceptance person, but I think that like anything you can get to help your odds of getting in are helpful. Alright, so I think that just about covers all of the tips I have for you guys. Just really, my biggest advice is just don't procrastinate. Get it done early, get it done out of the way, then you don't have to think about it. And please, 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 please keep in mind that whatever college you get into, you know, whatever college you choose to go to, or if you don't even choose to go to college, like that's okay. Like, you know, if colleges don't select you, it's not the end of the world, and it sucks getting rejected. Trust me, I got rejected from plenty of schools, but you just have to kind of go, okay, it wasn't meant to be. Like, I tried my best. You know, I applied early. I did all that I could do, and it just wasn't in the cards. You know, you can always go to a community college near like your dream school, go there for 2 years and then transfer, and it's cheaper and you get to go to your dream school. And you'll probably most definitely get in as a transfer student. So there's a lot of different options to go about it. Just keep yourself on pace and organized, and try to finish kind of everything, you know, like a week or so before like the deadline. I think that's really in your best interest, just so there's no issues with submitting anything on the day of. So yeah, that was a lot of information thrown at you guys, and I'm now officially sweating a lot. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry about this kind of ratchet background, but I hope this information was helpful for you. I will see you guys in my next video. I love you guys so incredibly much. Bye.